beautiful soul. Welcome to the Quantum Business Queen podcast. This podcast is a vortex for activating wealth, riches, and boss bitches. It is here that I teach multi-dimensional business. Our content will fall under 3 different categories: 5D quantum creation, 4D frequency alchemy, and the most potent 3D strategy. Every aspect of business that contributes to the creation of success is covered here. Plus, I will be personally interviewing the most amazing boss bitches that are at the forefront of the game, paving the way for money, magic, and magnetism in business. Let's get ready to activate all of that within you. I am so excited for this session today because this information is crucial. I would say crucial, absolutely crucial when it comes to being able to make a ton of money. Let's just be real. Whether it be business, whether it be whatever, there are actually no limitations as to how money can come through. And that is kind of one of the many myths that needs to be busted and one of the programs that needs to be rewired. Because when you understand money's unconditional nature, it will change the game. It will change the game. I promise you that. I can promise you that because it's been my life. It's been my embodied experience, and it's been the experience of my clients, which we'll talk about all of that. So today I am going to take you through some of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to making money. If you're here because you have your own business and you want to figure out like how you can monetize it in a better way. If you just can't quite like get a handle on your money situation, you want to figure out how to make more. Either way, it doesn't matter. So this applies to everybody, which is the good news. Yeah, right. I mean, here's the thing. Money doesn't discriminate. Energy doesn't discriminate. Once you get the money game right and the energy game right, automatically clients will start flowing. Business will start shifting. The dynamics in your reality will start changing. So these principles, this programming is rife around money. So we need to really hyper focus on money as a singular entity, because there's so many crazy misconceptions around this. This is good news, is that it's never ending. And I love that because this is the reality we chose to be in. Expansion is a part of who we are, and it will continuously be the most delicious part of our experience. So I want you to sit in that energy for a second. I want you to drop the notion that the heaviness of disappointment, the frustration of not being where you want to be, or whatever it is that you are carrying right now, I really want you to give those a visual, and I want you to set those bags to the side. The disappointment, the heaviness, the frustration, the scarcity. That's not what we're dealing with today. I want you to put all of that to the side. What we're dealing with today is how you get to expand. How you get to expand, because as an energetic, eternal light being, that is what you are here to do. What you're here to do. You are here to expand. And as you expand, you will realize the reality around you will expand and shift, especially and including money, which is a great news. So we're going to work through some misconceptions. I'm going to take you through 4 in particular. I'm going to talk you through some case studies of some of my clients that I've worked with in the past and the present, and who continuously evolve and shift and will always amaze me. And then at the end, I will talk about how I can support you personally through this money journey, because once you start cracking the code of this stuff, it truly does feel magical. It truly does feel magical. Money gets to be magic. So here's the thing. Well, who am I to be talking to you about money? Now I have a few different stories, a few different experiences, should I say, that led me to this work. So I want to talk about my journey. So you know that what I'm speaking to you about is actually from my own embodied experience. I am not the type of teacher, although there's nothing wrong with it at all, but I'm not the type of person who will teach you something because it's a concept I've read from a book. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but I am inspired to teach through my own life experiences and through the life experiences of my clients, because for me, that is the ultimate proof that what I know works. Okay. So I want to tell you a little bit about my life experience because I know what I teach works, and I have been able to transcend a lot of what would be looked at as a hurdle, and it's regardless have still been able to make a lot of money, no matter what the economy is doing, no matter what any outside circumstances have not held me back, which is a testament to the fact that money is a frequency. And that if you learn how to crack the code to working with this energy, you will be able to create money regardless of what people are saying. The economy, inflation, this and that, it's like all BS. For me, it's programming of control that I do not buy into. Give me a yes if you're ready to stop buying into that BS. I call it slave programming because it is deliberately created. Thank you. I want all of you to just give me your intentional yes that you're ready to not buy into that BS. Intentional yeses like ripple energy out into the universe. Intentional yeses will ripple energy out into the universe. Okay. So my story, I will start from the beginning. I'll try to make it super quick. I grew up in Northern California. I currently live in Australia, but I grew up in Northern California, small town girl, had the two parents in the house who they barely made ends meet. They barely made enough money. I was always kind of embarrassed by the fact that we were kind of on the lower income scale, always felt like I needed to hide it. And so I never grew up around money. I grew up around the rife programming of, well, it's not going to be that good of a Christmas this year, Sarah. We don't have that much money. We don't have much. We can't afford it. We can't afford it. I mean, that was all I ever heard. We can't afford it. Watching my parents balance the checkbooks. So trust me, I came from that. I get that. I get what it feels like to live paycheck to paycheck, month to month, and to have the parents going, okay, well, we're not sure how we're going to quite be able to do this. I understand what that's like. So I grew up small town. I graduate from university. I worked my way through university, the 3 jobs, the this, the that, whatever, what have you. And I somehow land this job I got a referral to do a job interview for a organization in the Silicon Valley. And I had no qualifications to even be remotely qualified to do this job whatsoever. I had made 13 grand the year before when I was at university. It's like, how do you survive? But you figure it out. And here I am sitting across this lady on the 27th floor of a building who's interviewing me. She's in this buttoned up suit, polished ads. They called her the pit bull because she just ran the show in that corporate sales job. And I remember her pointing her finger at me saying, this is a 6-figure position. Can you handle it? And it was so bizarre because even though I had nothing going for me, no experience, no idea what it felt like to have that amount of money. I had no idea what a corporate environment was like, let alone a corporate sales environment in the Silicon Valley. And there was something in me. It was like an innate yes that rippled out into the universe. This is why I want you guys to give me your intentional yeses, because those yeses, they do something. They shift energy. They ripple frequency out into the universe. Lo and behold, I was going to say by the grace of God, but it was by the grace of my freaking intention. I created success in that job very quickly. And mind you, I was watching my colleagues around me being fired. It was fear motivation, whatever they say, but it was I was just in this tunnel of vortex of this will happen. I don't know how. There's nothing going for me. I have literally no freaking idea what this role even is. Don't know the tech, don't know anything, but this is going to happen. And lo and behold, it freaking did. And it was really interesting. I just remember being in this zone of energy going, there's no other option, but this will work. There's no other option. I could have looked around at my physical reality and freaked the hell out, watching my colleagues, some of which were my close friends, were being let go or they didn't quite make their numbers this month. And so, and I could have let that fear pierce my energy zone, pierce that tunnel of frequency I was in, but I didn't. I stayed in it somehow. And back then I didn't know about energy, by the way. I just knew there was something intangible happening that I really couldn't put my finger on. So the universe actually really proved this to me because fast forward 18 months later, I was transferred to the Australian office, which hence me living here now. And I was asked to head up a sales team there to launch the division and support the growth of the division. They saw what I did in the Silicon Valley and they were like, you can do this here. We know you can do this. You're the perfect person for this. And it was so interesting because the energy at this point, of course, I had everything going for me. I knew the job. I knew what it was like to work in a really cutthroat environment. I knew the internal tech. I knew all the sales scripts. I knew everything. And I've created success. So, right, all the evidence of it will work is laid in front of me. And I moved to Australia, and there was something internal that shifted in me. And it was, instead of this divine yes, that this will happen no matter what, I started creating these stories around the expectations of everyone around me. Oh my gosh, well, this person's expecting me to create this. This person's expecting me to be this successful. And all of these stories I created, and all of a sudden I became super freaking wobbly to the point where I was pouring my heart and soul into the action of the job. I was coming in on weekends. I was staying late. I was like pouring everything I could to create more than what my KPIs were so the results would come in, and nothing was happening. It was freaking mind-boggling for me. I was like, no matter what I was doing action-wise, it could not compensate for the fact that internally I was scared shitless that I was not going to meet the expectations of everyone around me. And it was like that frequency overrode every single freaking thing that I tried to do in order to create success. 3 months comes along. I don't pass probation. So at this point, I'm freaking out even more because it's like, I'm going to lose my visa. I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to get sent back to America. Like, oh, woe is me, crying every night home, to my boyfriend at the time. And like, my life is so sad, someone rescue me, blah, 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 victim, cry, all of it. So it was interesting. It took me, if I was in America, by the way, I would have been fired for sure. Australians are way more laid back. So I had that working for me. Thank goodness. So corporate America is definitely a lot different than corporate Australia in that way. So it was a year of me pouring everything into my job, and maybe I'd get a little ounce of success, and then it would drop back, and I'd get a little back and forth, and then I'd fall back. Who's ever experienced that, by the way? You get a little headway and then boom, you're right back, and you get a little bit of traction, then you're pulled straight back in. So it's like you're fighting internally with yourself. It was like I was addicted, and I know this is why this is happening. Been able to break down like the neuroscience. We've been able to break down the neuroscience of why this actually happens, by the way. So this was why I wasn't actually fired, because I would get a little bit of traction and I'd be pulled back into my victimhood. It was like I was addicted to that victimhood mentality. And that's one of the reasons why that happens. There's several different reasons as to why that happens, by the way. So I now know exactly the patterns and what's happening for you mentally, psychologically, and energetically when you're doing this back and forth, being pulled back in, and then you get a bit of momentum forward. So thank God I know now. Back then I didn't know. So it wasn't until I had this moment, and it was a visceral, life-changing moment where it was like my guides or whoever was looking after me at the time were sick of my shit. And they were like, Sarah, you are choosing this. You are choosing this. You're choosing to fail right now. You remembered what it was like to have that divine yes ripple out into the universe when you had nothing going for you. And you made it happen. In fact, you didn't even have to make it happen. It happened for you. You just kept yourself in the vortex of energy that was a divine yes. Now that I was wobbling and addicted to my own victimhood and addicted to my own stories that I created myself, I could not get myself out of that energy until I was tapped on the shoulder by whatever energy that was that day, walking to work saying, Sarah, if you don't deliberately choose success, you're deliberately choosing to fail. You're deliberately choosing to fail. You can't have both. You can't go back and forth, be addicted to your story, your victim mentality, and think success is going to happen. You got to choose one. You got to choose one. It takes a bit of reprogramming and repatterning, which is not something we discuss here per se, but trust me when I say when you crack the code of this is when everything gets to change. And it gets to change really freaking quickly. So what I did in that moment was I was like, right then, I'm going to choose success. I'm going to choose to be, in fact, I'm going to choose to be an explosion of success. And I would tell myself that relentlessly, even though all the evidence was saying You are not an explosion of success. In fact, you were on the verge of losing your job. I didn't pay attention to that. I didn't pay attention to that evidence, which was just an accumulation. The physical evidence was just an accumulation of the reality I've manifested based on my old stories anyway. So it's crazy to think that we use our physical reality for evidence of what is possible, because that's so freaking limiting, right? So I just started saying I'm an explosion of success, and you'll never freaking guess what happened. Everything changed. I became an explosion of success. Look, it didn't happen overnight, but things started shifting. A client would call through, my energy would shift. Another client would call through, boom. I became one of the top salespeople worldwide and one of the biggest companies in the industry. I was flown to America, to all these tropical places in Australia. I was awarded Top Gun, blah, blah, blah. And there are thousands of employees in this company. Okay, so it was not through the action. Trust me, it was not through my action. It was through my deliberate choosing and through my relentless choosing a reality despite all the evidence that was stacked against me. And the money came with that. The money didn't ever come. So from there, again, back then, I didn't even know the word manifestation or energy, but I knew what was happening was not something that was tangible. I just knew it. I was like, my God, I wish I could put my finger on what this is. Like now I can easily articulate it, luckily, because that's why I'm talking to you guys. But back then I couldn't. So then I just started studying energy and frequency. And I actually studied kinesiology for a while, became a kinesiologist. Through that, I was working with entrepreneurs, and I would work with entrepreneurs, just their energy, by the way. And some of the guys, a couple in particular, two in particular, I started with from right when they launched their business up until they hit 7 figures. And it was all energetic alignment. It's all an energy game, you guys. Money is an energy game. So this is why today I come to you feeling fully qualified in the facts that I can talk about this to you wholeheartedly. With my own business, we have my flagship mastermind is the Quantum Business Academy. I launched that, I think it was early 2020. It was an organic 6-figure launch. I had no idea about business strategy. I had a little bit of an idea, but not what I should in order to create that sort of success. 6 months later, launched it again, did the same thing. It was an energy game. This is why I call it the Quantum Business Academy, because 80% of the success that you do, it's frequency, it's energy, it's money. Money is energy. And then the strategy gets to be potent and beautiful and aligned. And that is also important as well. So here I come to you today to speak to you about money and how to become magnetic to it. Because if you are working against the primal forces of the universe, which is your own energy, no matter how much strategy you put towards your business or how much strategy you put toward investing or how much planning you put toward creating whatever financial reality you want, if your energy is not right, if your programming is working against you, it's going to feel freaking hard. And it doesn't have to be hard. In fact, it gets to be wildly easy. And it is. It's wildly easy to make money. Right now is the easiest time in all of history to make a ton of money. And it doesn't have to be through online business. That's definitely one avenue. That's an avenue I'm extremely passionate about. But you take whatever avenue you're extremely passionate about. You apply these concepts I teach you around money and the frequency of money, and just let the taps flow. Let the taps flow. Almost year on year, we've doubled in our business. And granted, we've definitely added other strategies. We use paid advertisements and all the things. However, none of it I do if it is not aligned. I've given up 6-figure income streams because they have not been aligned. Energy is everything in my business. Energy is everything in my business. So I want to go through some misconceptions around money. And I want to really dive deep into these. So number one is you do not need to be fully healed to create a lot of money. Who thinks that, by the way? Okay, I love this. Or there's a book called Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. He's a brilliant writer, by the way. He's a very talented writer. And he tells this story about his mom. And by the way, he tells this story about his mom. And out of the whole book, this little thing stood out to me where he said, and I'm going to not quote it exactly, but he said something like, My mom healed 2 different types of cancers with nothing but aspirin and denial. And that makes me giggle because oftentimes we are so freaking fixated on what's wrong with me because this hasn't shown up for me yet. What's wrong with me? My money hasn't showed up. I thought I worked on this. The amount of times I hear clients say, oh, but I thought I worked on this. What's wrong with me? I need to look at my blocks. Okay, what do you think you continuously activate when you run those stories? I just want you to sit in this. And I'm not talking about spiritually bypassing. If you have an issue and something's wrong, you deal with it, right? I'm not saying bypass this shit. I'm not saying that, but I am saying get over it. Choose to be successful. I think if I would have sat in my own kind of shame and sorrow, being like, I need to look at everything that's wrong with me when I wasn't creating success in my corporate job, I probably wouldn't have done it so quickly. I just freaking chose it. I took some aspirin and then I was in denial and delusional and I chose it. Took the aspirin to heal the wounds, to lick my wounds and heal them, and I freaking chose it relentlessly. I think all too often we're so stuck in this I need to heal cycle that we keep perpetuating those same timelines. You have to think about it. This is all actually quite logical. It's quite common sense if you think about it, right? Where focus goes, energy flows. We've all heard that saying. If our focus is continuously seeking out what's wrong with you, what energy and what timelines are you going to continuously perpetuate? Right? You don't need to be healed. Do it now. Who gives a shit? You're never going to be fully healed, by the way, FYI, unless you guys are on the path to enlightenment, which if you are, good on you. Good on you. You will never be fully healed. Doing this work is healing. It really is. It really is. So if you've ever had the idea that I always call it the win then distortion. When I've looked at this, when I've fully healed, when, then I can have the blah, 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 blah. This energy keeps everything at arm's length for you. Everything. I want to tell you that you could have it all right now. And I have some really freaking crazy stories to prove it. My story for one. So here's the thing. The goal is, and there's a formula we use to freaking break it all down, but the goal is to make a decision, make expanded decisions that activate change. Okay. But you have to be able to think beyond your physical reality, because your physical reality, remember, is just an accumulation of everything you've manifested that have been based on your old blocks, old stories, old distortions right up to this point. So we keep looking at our physical reality and thinking, well, what more can I uncover about me and what's wrong with me and all these things? We keep perpetuating the same story. So we got to look past it. And in order to do that, you have to make expanded decisions. Some of the best things I did were making the most riskiest decisions in the place of crazy adversity. It was such an expanded decision. I was scared as shit, but I knew I had to do that to leap out of that old timeline, to shake myself out of it. So there's a couple stories. Marga used to be a coach for me. So I ran the quantum coach certification for a couple of years. We've shelved it for a while. That was the 6-figure income stream I was talking about. But she took the quantum coach certification, which is just breaking down in depth all the stuff around energy, et cetera, et cetera. She at the time was living in Mexico and wanted a new car. Not only could she not afford it, but number two, cars are really hard to find because of COVID. They were impossible. It would be like a years waiting list. And long story short, there were so many things that happened. She, within a matter of weeks, we spoke about this and I said, Margaret, you gotta stop lowering the bar. You gotta stop changing your order. There's a whole thing I talk about when it comes to changing your order. We think we have a manifestation. We get super freaking excited about it. And then we change it because we are so fixated on the physical evidence that we don't think it's coming. And I said, do not change your order. How many of you change your orders, by the way? I do it occasionally. I catch myself. Give me a yes if you found yourself changing your order. Well, if it's not going to be 10K, maybe I'll be okay with 5K. If it's not 5K, oh, maybe. Yeah. How many of us change our orders? Yeah, sometimes. It's normal programming. And there's a reason why this happens. And again, it can all be broken down. So I told Marga, do not change your freaking order, my dear. Don't change your order. Even though it was impossible to get brand new cars, there was a year waiting list for new cars that were being imported into Mexico and she couldn't afford it. Don't change your order, Marga. You will get your car. You will be able to afford it. and you will find yourself driving in it. Anyway, she visualized herself driving in the car, listening to music. And I forget, it was within weeks or maybe a month. I don't know the time frame, not long at all. She got her freaking brand new car. She got a lot of money. She manifested money, and it was the exact amount of this brand new car, and it was everything that she wanted. So she could have latched onto the physical evidence of why it couldn't happen, shouldn't happen for her, but she didn't. She didn't change her order. She stayed in her vision vortex, which is what I did when I had nothing going for me in my corporate role. That's one example. Phyllis is another brilliant example. I love this because she did the Becoming Magnetic to Money course. That day went out. She's like, I'm going to test what you're teaching here, Sarah. I think she won $40,000. So this goes hand in hand with the principle of you don't need to be healed. Number one, money is not a time distance away. Okay. That's the other thing I think we have in our programming, that money has to be action. We have to action away and time distance away. So until I do this A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K action, the money is not going to come through. We put conditions on money. What happens when we remove the conditions on money? Money will never override your free will, by the way. If you put conditions on it, it's just an obedient soldier. Yes, okay, no worries. So Phyllis did this whole thing around deconditioning money, which we teach in depth. And went out, and that day, I might get the figures wrong. I could play the video. I think she won $40,000 and 4 weeks later won another $60,000. Yeah. She wasn't fully healed. She's always on a healing quest. In fact, beautiful Phyllis had cancer, which is a sign of a lot of emotional pent up wounds. And she just did the work of deconditioning money, being ready to receive it now. Even know that her journey of her whole life, all of our lives is a journey of ever expanding healing. We're never going to be fully healed. And it was that day. She deliberately said to the universe, right, let's test this. Let's test this. It will find a way. Money is a consciousness. It is an energy. It is literally lining up sequences of events behind the scenes to make its way to you. But you have blocked it through all the conditions you put on it. So think about that. Through it needing to be a time distance away, through I need to be healed first, through I need to be this type of person first, through I need to take these sorts of actions first. What if you didn't? What if you didn't? Then we have my beautiful sister. I love this story. She has had a hell of a ride in terms of life and has not been dealt very good deck of cards, shall we say. I could go on about her story, but she's not had it easy whatsoever. She's a single mom of 4 kids. Okay. She works long 12-hour shift jobs. We were really deeply working on these principles because I used to give my sister money all the time. I'm like, I'm not going to do this. I need to teach you how to fish. I need to teach you how to fish. So we worked on some of these principles in the Becoming Magnetic to Money course. And out of nowhere, this is really weird, actually. There was a guy who used to work with my dad when we were like little kids. Like I would have been 7. She would have been like 5 or something, even younger. And he had this connection to Katie. 30 years later, this man comes out of the woodworks and gives my sister 10 grand cash. Out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Money wants to make its way to you. With no conditions. Katie's not fully healed. By God, is she not? Her conditions are not perfect to receive money. But she just let her guard down long enough for the universe to work its magic, and it did. And it did. Okay, Sasha's one of my favorites because this is when I was working with, and then I'll move on. But I need your egos to get the proof that this is how it goes. I promise. Sasha was somebody I worked with one time when I was working with clients in their energy. She was like, what's a quantum coach? She was so gorgeous. She didn't know anything about manifestation or anything. That's why I love Sasha. She was like a deer in headlights when I was talking to her, like, what the heck? Manifestation? Like, it was so cute. So we had one session together, and it was just when I was a one-on-one practitioner working in people's energy fields to help them shift their blocks. She at the time was a chartered, or she is still an accountant, but at the time she was a single mom and was running a business, and it was to the point where she didn't know how she was going to make her business work because she was not getting the clients in. So we had one session, and I don't know, a month later, she messages me and she said, Sarah, you won't believe it. Oh, maybe it was 3 months. I can't remember. This was so long ago now, but I just love Sasha's story because she's an example of somebody who didn't even know much about energy at all. Again, she just dropped the guard, dropped the freaking distortions, and went on her way and did the damn thing. So she messages me a couple months later saying, I've been nailing consistent 20K months, and I've had to hire three new staff members. And if, instead of, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to make this work, she's like, how am I going to make all this work? Just energy. There was no other business coach or anything like that involved, just energy. So this is proof in the pudding, okay? This is proof in the pudding. All different people from all walks of life, and here they are making shit happen. And the great news is that this is everything that's available to you. Everything can change because nothing exists outside of your own consciousness. Let me repeat that again. Nothing exists outside of your own consciousness. Money, friends, successful business. It will not come first and show you the proof. You have to embody the proof first before it can show itself to you. That's hard. That's hard because we're not programmed to operate like that, are we? We're programmed to look at our physical reality and let it dictate our emotional state every single day. No wonder our free will has been taken from us. If we buy into that programming, we do not have free will. We don't, because we are powerless to everything that's external. So this is where delusion becomes your best friend. I giggle because it's funny to hear me say that out loud, but it's true. You have to stay in your delusional reality of this is what is. This is what is, and money is ready to play that game with you. I promise. I promise. Delusion is your best friend. So anytime you hear anything on the news about this or that, I laugh. Oh God, it makes me giggle. Good try, guys. Good try. Watch me transcend, bitches. And it makes me so lit up because the more we can break through this programming and create a ripple effect, the more we can set other people free too. It's not about the money. It's about setting people free and giving people their own free will back. That's what this is about. The money will always come. I just got the chills. It's okay if you've bought into the programming. It's okay. You can either live in one of two different places, through your imagination or through indoctrination. Glennon Doyle. Indoctrination means you live through programming. You've been indoctrinated. And if you can't step outside of that, you give your free will away. Living through your imagination is your ability to create despite no matter whatever is happening around you. Whatever rules society has set, you can break through them. There's so many great teachers that talk about all of this. Neville Goddard is one of them. Don't know if you guys have listened to him. Man, he was a pioneer talking about this shit in the 50s. Crazy, right? Crazy. He manifested his way out of a military contract. Those are fairly binding. And it was an honorable discharge, by the way. Those are fairly binding. So if we would have bought into the indoctrination around that, your mind would have told you there's no way. Seriously. He's proof. Our egos need proof, which is why I gave you these case studies. One of my other favorite teachers is Dolores Cannon. I mean, she's so freaking powerful in terms of her teachings. It's crazy. Yeah, Dr. Joe Dispenza, there's so many. Jerry and Esther Hicks, so many. But Dolores Cannon really talks about the imagination, and that's why I love her. Actually, so does Neville Goddard. Both of those two teachers talk about the power of your imagination. You either live through your indoctrination or through your imagination. And sometimes you have to cut through a lot of dense programming to really access your imagination to its fullest capacity. So your imagination is not your mind just coming up with these random things. Your imagination is a navigation tool, and it navigates quantum timelines that are already done. That's what your imagination is. And so this is why it's so freaking powerful when you can get yourself in your vortex of choice, of choosing through your free will and be only in your imagination. Stop looking sideways and falling out and then coming back in. This is where shit happens quick. And realities can change really, 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 really quickly. Okay. Yeah. So we think money is a limited resource. I mean, hopefully by now you see my angle on all of this. Money is the inner energy. Energy is an unlimited resource. Unlimited. Now, one of the most important things is getting yourself around the people who are really like basking in money and wealth. Truly, one of my masterminds that I'm in with my mentor, like the conversations are crazy. It's like, oh yeah, this month I'm going to make about 170K. Last week I made about 70K. And it's like, it's just a normal reality. When you hear people talking like that, no matter what's happening in the economy, you see there are thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people transcending and breaking all the freaking rules that have been set upon them or imposed upon them by society, by the news, by fear. All of it. I know firsthand there are a ton of people absolutely thriving financially right now. You don't even need to know how that's going to look for you, by the way. But just know that money is absolutely unlimited. Whatever people try to tell you about that, if it's the opposite, it's a lie. By the way, you have your own ability to discern your truths. That's a whole other topic. But do that by the way this information makes you feel, okay? If there's information that's fear-based and your body feels contracted, it's because it's not aligned with your higher truth. If what I'm talking to you and telling you and teaching you today feels awesome and expansive, but your mind hasn't quite caught up with it, that's okay. Go into your body and feel it. Because that's a higher resonance truth. Your body is the organ of truth. Your body will tell you what your new truths get to be and what you get to kick to the curb that are lies. Because ultimately there are no truths. We live our life through the truths we create and the meanings we give them. That's how you become, again, another deliberate creator. But when you base your truths off of everybody else's truths, you give your free will away once again. The reason I talk about that, your body being the organ of truth, is I know that from being a kinesiologist for a long time. I was a kinesiologist and then I taught kinesiology at the college. So we pull so much information from the body that isn't even a conscious awareness for people. And, information that's trapped in the body that can be a distortion or a blockage is what causes a lot of physical ailments. The reason I know that is because we saw lots of physical ailments rapidly disappear. That was my journey into kinesiology because I had severe neck issues. When I shifted the energy around that, my whole neck healed itself. So your body is trying to speak to you constantly, but we don't know how to interpret its symptoms, its signs, how it's wanting to talk to us. I mean, that's a whole other webinar. We won't get into that. Okay. The other thing is as well is like once you start putting yourself in the realms, now this is exciting. I love this. Once you start putting yourself in the realms of quantum truths, and I say quantum truths because it has a quantum energetic resonance, meaning it expands your cells. It makes you feel excited and light. If your body is saying this is exciting and light, it's because it's aligned with your higher truth. Now, once you start putting yourself in the realms of more quantum truth, your cells will continuously start expanding or will continue to expand, and your body will then start to hold more light. Automatically, just by you listening and just through your body and your cells expanding, and just through you holding more light is enough in and of itself to let you shift, let alone all the other work that's available. So that's the good news. Put yourself in the realms of quantum truths, because through osmosis, your body will shift itself. You'll become buoyant. So Jerry and Esther Hicks talk about it a lot, actually, where it's like they say you're like a buoy being pulled down with all your density. But this is when you become buoyant. It's because you're starting to hold more light. You're reawakening yourself to more truth, where you're like, oh yeah, all this information I'm telling you, by the way, is probably very familiar to you. You probably are. I was saying this. You're probably going, yeah, I know this. But it's like it needs to be reinstilled in you. So your body can reawaken to the truths that are dormant already inside of you. This is how you hold more light. So when you learn to expand through the limitlessness of money, there's a law called infinite expandability, by the way, which again, we go really in depth in. We teach you all about that. But if you learn to expand through this law, your ability to open up to receive money, it is crazy. It's one of the things it says is that we are the universe. The universe is just you inversed, right? And so if it is the universe's eternal nature to continuously expand. Like there are whole new solar systems being birthed every second. The universe is the law of expandability. And if we are the universe inversed, if we keep ourselves constricted, we are slowly killing ourselves. This is where we get sick. I was constricting myself so bad that I had no range of motion in my neck. It was excruciatingly painful and nothing physical ever happened to me. It was pent up energy. It was me fighting against my own expansion. Me telling myself a story that I am limited. Money's limited. Limited. My body's going, oh my gosh, you are fighting against the law of infinite expandability, which is what you are, which is who you are. And if you fight against that, you will make yourself sick. How do I know this? I was sick and I was a kinesiologist. Saw lots of sick people. And it was crazy how when we release the energy, I have some crazy stories about that as well, but I won't tell them here. Oh my gosh, miraculous things happened. So you have to learn to expand with this law. Your ability to receive money will be dependent on your ability to make expanded decisions based on what's available, based on possibility, based on potential, not based on limitation and scarcity and fear, because that's constricting. When you take a quantum leap of faith and make a decision, get shit scared, that's buying into the law of infinite expandability. So like I make decisions all the time that seem crazy, but I know I have anchored the belief that my money expands with my decisions. Not if I make this decision and pay money, it's going to make me more scarce. No. I don't work like that. Money always expands with my ability to make expanded decisions because money is unlimited. It just wants to expand with us. And there's ways that we anchor in more and more and more and more of your ability to receive money through what I call the money buffer. Okay, so why has it not worked for people? I think this whole webinar is hopefully a testament to why, manifestation and all of these things, why has it not worked? It's because you have not been able to work through the confines of your own programming based on what I call the evidence distortion. People are too fixated on looking at your physical reality, looking at the evidence, but my bank account only has this, but my clients and buying into that. You buy into that and you perpetuate it through creating meaning around it. So for example, my income when I was first starting would be a freaking crazy roller coaster ride. I'd be up 30K and down 30K and up 40. Oh my God, it was scary. The second I stopped making it mean I'm a bad entrepreneur, I'm bad with money, who am I to, blah, blah, blah. I just went, oh, that's just the cycle. Money comes in ebbs and flows and I don't give a shit. I'm always going to be looked after. My whole reality started restabilizing itself. You got to be so careful in the meanings based on the evidence your physical reality is giving you because that's how you perpetuate the things you don't want. Okay? This is why things have not worked out for you. Stop being over analytical. Seriously. And unless it's going to help you to be like, right, this is where we're at financially now. Here's the goal. Here's how we reverse engineer it. I love that type of analytics. But if we're being analytical because we're giving things meanings where you're going to put yourself in a downward spiral real quick. Number one is the meanings. Number two, you're locked in the old money creation paradigm, which is the conditional paradigm. I call this the slave grid. You have to give so much of yourself away in order to have ABC, and you put all the conditions on it. Or if this information I'm telling you now is not embodied, that's a big one. That's a big one. There's a difference between concepts, you taking all this and being like, wow, this information's super cool, Sarah, thanks. That's a concept. An embodiment is making decisions as if it is your new and only truth. There's a massive difference in that. Most people try to manifest only through concepts. Yeah, but I'm doing my affirmations. I'm thinking positively. They're not in their body feeling what it's actually like to feel, what emotional frequency they're actually putting out to the universe, because they're too afraid to. They're too afraid to feel what's in there. It's okay. This is the stuff you can uncover and get out, and then aspirate in denial after you get it out. Don't fixate. And then work on being in the vortex of your vision through your own ability to use your imagination. And that requires being a little bit delusional. We're a little delusional. But I promise it works. I promise it works. Okay. Money can come and it can come fast. It is not a time distance away. There are no preconditions around you needing to be healed or, having whatever type of car or having whatever there are no preconditions except for you cracking through that old programming. Money is a wildly unlimited resource. No matter what people are trying to tell you externally, please believe that. That's a hard one. Money is the biggest way masses are controlled. So they're going to wrap fear all around it, intertwine it in fear, worry, scarcity, because then we get to control. You don't have to be a part of that paradigm because money is a frequency. It's an energy. It's an energy. It is an actual consciousness. So for those of you who know Jerry and Esther Hicks and how Esther trans-channels the consciousness Abraham, you guys would know Abraham, I'm sure. There is another lady who trans-channels the consciousness of money. And money is a consciousness, always trying to co-create with us. Money is a neutral energy, but we've pinned so much meaning on it. We've made it mean so many negative things. We've had it be so evil and disgusting that it's like, well, okay then. I can't override your free will if that's how you want to look at me. It's high time you repair that relationship. And this is what happens. I mean, the testimonials are truly endless. Weekly, I see stories come through. I have our Becoming Magnetic to Money container, which is what I'm going to talk to you guys about if you want my individual support. And always getting emails about, oh my gosh, Sarah, you wouldn't believe. And then the Business Academy, like 80% of this stuff is money. It's the energy work. It's the energy work. So let's anchor this in. I want you guys to know that money is not for the special few. I just want to leave that. You don't have to be special. We're all the same energetic creators. We just have different distortions and programs, which all come to the same root, basically. So it's not for the special few. It's not. Now that people are awakening to the energy of money, the energetics of money, and how to actually truly call it in, this is shifting the whole paradigm around the balance of wealth, by the way. You were made to believe in hierarchy and that money is made for the special few and that you must have a suit and tie and be a white male at the top of a corporate ladder to make a lot of money. That's what you were made to believe. But who wants to crack the code of that one to set millions of people free? I know I do. That's why I'm here talking to you guys. Yeah. Money is not for the special few. Money is an energy. It's an energy that is designed to help you expand. It's an expansion tool. Know that it is not evil. Our reality innately is meaningless, by the way. Our universe is meaningless. It is us as humans that pin meanings to everything. And we buy into those meanings that other people have pinned. And when we buy into those meanings, we yet again give away our free will. Stop doing that, please. I want you guys to love money. I want as many light beings around the world to love money. Because once we can start balancing the scales, this is where you get to be an expander. This is where you get to be an enhancer through your own mission and vision and through the help of money. Okay? It's important. This is actually really important. I think too many spiritual people again, have this distortion, especially spiritual people, but money is bad. I'm not a good person if I ask people for money. Please get over that. Please stop that. The more people can make expanded decisions around money, the more people will be empowered. So charging expands people. I have a podcast episode on this and it is triggering. I warn you, but it's important information. I talk about I give away scholarships very rarely, but it actually doesn't do anyone a service to give things away for free because you're buying into the timeline that they can't afford, or I can only have free things or whatever it is, where it's if you just adjust them slightly and help them to believe in the possibilities of other timelines, and then they make a decision, a scary decision based on that timeline being done, that's where shifts happen. But not necessarily when you give things away for free. That's not a gift for people. And it's also not an even energetic exchange, but that's again another topic. I'll refer you guys to some of these podcast episodes. Okay. So if you want my personal support in this, and if you are ready to dive deep in the world of money and energy and how to unlock its unlimited abundance, then you're going to want to join the full Becoming Magnetic to Money journey. It is one of the most powerful journeys of unlocking abundance and cracking the code to your scarcity in your reality right now. And if you want to see change fast, this truly is the ticket. I have so many testimonials, so many emails, so many videos of people sending me messages around how this course has literally changed their life. And seriously, things have happened super quickly for them. So if you're interested in hearing more about the full Becoming Magnetic to Money course, please click the link in the show notes. Until next time, I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening today, beautiful soul. I hope you got so much gold and were activated in such a way that you could step into your highest timeline of abundance and freedom, because it is more than possible for you. If that desire has been planted in your soul, it is so deliberate. If you wouldn't mind, please rate, review, subscribe to this podcast so that we can get this message into the hearts and ears of more amazing light beings across the world. I would love to continue this conversation with you, so feel free to get in touch on Instagram at sarah.tynan.quantumcoach. If you're a Facebook person, you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Sarah Tynan International. And please don't ever forget, if your desire is there, it's because your destiny is there too. You just have to remember who you are. Bye for now, beautiful.